Good morning. Thank you for joining us for this special virtual program at the Westmoreland Museum of American Art. I'm Dr. Erica Knuckles, the Director of Learning, Engagement, and Partnerships here at the Westmoreland. I would like to begin our program with a moment of acknowledgements. The Westmoreland Museum of American Art is situated upon the traditional lands of the Adena, Hopewell, Monongahela, Osage, Delaware, Shawnee, and Seneca Cayuga peoples. We honor all of the indigenous nations and their land with great gratitude and acknowledge the genocide and continuous displacement of indigenous peoples. We also acknowledge the enslaved Africans whose labor built this country during the colonial era and beyond. We acknowledge the harm inflicted upon the indigenous communities and people of color across the country, which guides and inspires our work as a museum. This program is part of the Westmoreland Museum of American Art's Artist-in-Residency program that has been made possible by generous support from the Pittsburgh Foundation. Launched in September of 2020, the program features 4 to 6 artists annually and emphasizes the museum's commitment to engaging and supporting Black and marginalized artists, to promoting equity in the arts, and to sharing compelling and meaningful cultural experiences with the regional community. Each residency varies in length depending on the individual needs and availability of the artist. During their residency, the artist resides in Greensburg and can utilize open studio space within the museum. Artists use the span of the residency to create, study, investigate, and reflect on their artistic practice, and are given full access to the collection and the archives, along with support from curators, educators, conservators, and other staff. Artists can use the residency as an opportunity to work on a new body of work or develop a new process, and are encouraged to engage with the museum's collection and community. Inaugural artists selected include Anquanique and D.S. Kinzel of Boone Concepts, Gavin Benjamin, and our current artist in residence, Madame Christiana Dolores, also of Boone Concepts. This is the first of two-hour live streams today, where Madame Dolores will create several sculptural pieces with the assistance of fellow artist, Mistress of Sculpture, Danielle Robinson. Madame Dolores will draw on her time of working on an upstate New York farm where she began creating dolls that she sold at the Tribeca farmers market. They will work together to shape these doll forms guided by the theme of knowledge versus intelligence, which will illustrate the complexity of marginalization, the strange contrary state of being invisible and visible at the same time. This mistress class will illustrate how 2 women artists collaborate, share their knowledge and vulnerability, and build together. This is the beginning of part 1 from 10 a.m. to noon today. Part 2 will be live streamed from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. today. Please feel free to submit any questions and comments in the chat during each live stream. These will be addressed by the artists intermittently during the second live stream this afternoon. So our artists are in the paneled room in the museum that is currently being used by our artists in residence. Although the museum is currently open and we do ask our visitors and staff to wear masks while inside the building, Christiana and Danielle are in a private space. They are both vaccinated and have special permission to forego wearing masks while in this private space today. So let's go to the paneled room now so that the artists can introduce themselves and tell us more about today's mistress class.
Hello.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know we're waiting for Christiana to arrive. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work as an artist?
Well, my name is Danielle Robinson, and I'm from Pittsburgh. And I've been doing art ever since I was a little girl, I think 5. I would say that I was an artist since I was 5 years old. My current work, which I've been doing a lot of experimenting with sculpture, I like to use recycled materials. I like junk. I love to use junk. Junk is the things that people throw away, and to make it into something new and to create a brand new piece from anything from newspaper to milk jugs to old wood, whatever is available to me. And I'd like to think that my art speaks to women. I do a lot of focus on females. I really believe that, and especially women of color, that there's not much representation for us in art. And I feel like I need to do that. And I need to show people that we are beautiful. And that is pretty much, and I also paint, but right now it's, I've been focused on sculpture, which is one of my favorite things to do, actually, in all mediums. Anything that I can find, I want to manipulate and turn into something brand new.
Great, great. So could you describe maybe the style of your art?
I like to grab from different style points. I love African art. I love Art Deco. I love urban art like graffiti, and I love comic books. So I like to kind of mix all those things together to create, something inclusive and random at the same time. It's very weird, but it's like I like to use all those different points to create my new pieces. I love color, and I also love just like dark black. It's just, I will pull from anywhere, and I like to showcase all those different things. I'm not particular to one style. If something hits me, it just hits me. So if I see something that I'm inspired by, it could be a beautifully wood carved dresser, or it could be some wild pop art or graffiti. So I pull from all different types of styles. I do.
So did you bring any examples of some of your art? We got to see some of your pieces in the little intro, the PowerPoint. Did you bring anything with you that you would like to share?
Yes, I did, actually. I have a few pieces. I can grab a couple and show you.
That would be great.
Okay. I work in several different mediums, so. Here's one. This is my most recent painting. Wow. I call her her. Very inspired by African art. And to me, this represents how I feel like an artist's mind looks when we're creating. And it's a busy mess, but it's very pretty. I think that we have the ability to showcase what we're thinking on canvas or in sculpture, on paper. And I can say this is probably what my head looks like when I'm creating. So this is one piece, my most recent one. I'll show you one of my sculptural pieces too. This one. It's kind of heavy. I call her I Found You. And it's dark, but to me, she represents a woman that's found herself. shows she's clawing at her own chest to get to the core of who she is. And that's why I went with the dark red and the black to kind of represent feelings and emotions. And I know it looks scary a little bit, but to me, she's beautiful and found. So, and some people will take from the piece, I found you as, you know, she might have found something else, you know, her love. But to me, I think she's found herself. That's this piece. It's heavy. And I do drawings too, so I have a drawing that I can show also.
What are the materials? Okay. What are the materials of that piece that you just showed?
Oh, that I used an old T-shirt dress form, and I also used newspaper, milk jugs, styrofoam, all types of found items. I didn't purchase anything for that piece, except for I actually did. I used spray foam that people use to seal cracks. So I used that to fill in her chest cavity, and glue and paints. And it's mostly just things that I had, stuff that I had around. And that's how I like to sculpt. I like to just put a bunch of things together and create from what's in front of me. I love that. And that's how she came about. So lots of recycled materials on her.
That's amazing.
Thank you. And here's one of my drawings. I don't think I had a name for her. It's sort of a self-portrait, but I didn't really have a meaning behind this one. I just think that some of the things that are somewhat scary, or the things that people find scary, something monstrous, can be beautiful. And also kind of wanted to showcase my work with pencil. So I like using pencil and I like using a color pencil and all mediums. I'm all over the place when it comes to the art stuff. I'll go in and do any type of style that I can, because I just want to keep learning and keep going and find new things to do. I've worked in every medium possible that I can think of, but pencils is one of my favorites. So this is a piece. She doesn't have a name, but there she is. It's that one. And I'll show you one more. It's also one with recycled materials. It's the same process that I used for I Found You, just more with the newspaper and glue, all types of just recycled things. I found little gems and buttons, all this stuff that I found. And I thought bringing it all together to make just a piece, to combine it and bring it together, is my favorite thing to do. What the end result is. Because when you see it beforehand, it looks crazy. But once it's painted and the idea comes, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling. I used all types of craziness. There's like bottle caps in here somewhere. So it's fun to go through and kind of find like different little things that maybe you might recognize if you look close enough. And this is on canvas. And all the roses that I make that are in my pieces are made out of newspaper and tape. It's more simple than what people think when they see it. They're like, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. And I'm like, well, it's like not really a hard process, which I would really love to share with people so they can do it themselves too. But there's this piece. Yeah,
that's so fantastic. it is fun to try to figure out what are some, have you ever had people like really perplexed about what you used and trying to figure that out?
Yes. I've had, I worked on a piece live, and it was a piece similar to these with the skulls, and it had 3 skulls at the top. And I called it 3 Souls. And the way that the skulls were made is that I used old milk jugs. I took a skull that I had already created, and I used milk jug and melted it on top of the skull in order to create a mold of it, basically. And then I put it back together and put it on top of the canvas. And people were just like, well, how did you get this on here? Like, what is this made of? And it's just, and when you create textures and you create different things, people will mistake it for something else. And they're just like, well, what is this? And I'm like, oh, that's like toilet paper or hot glue. It's, you know, these small little things. And I think I try to connect with people on an everyday level. These things may look wonderful and amazing, what people may think of it, but to me, it's something that we all can do. It's, it's the stuff that's in your recycle bin. It's not like I'm, selling $5 million paintings or anything like that, or spending a ton of money to be creative and to work. It's I'm not, like, I really would love for to show people that they can do these things too. It's not exclusive to just someone that's making money. It's for everybody, and it's something that we can all do. It's tangible. And that's why I love when people ask me what things are made out of. I'm just like, oh, that's a bottle cap or it's an old earring. Anything. It's just like, and I mean, I do sculpt from scratch also, but like with clay and and things like that. But mostly, I like to use things that are being thrown away. That's a thing that I'm very close to. Things that need renewed. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing how you can transform those materials so that, I mean, it is really difficult to to tell what you use. It's just amazing. Really great.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So I think Christiana is going to be on her way up in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
But in the meantime, can you talk a little bit about how you met?
Oh my goodness. I couldn't even tell you. That has been years and years and years ago. And it would be through one of my closest friends that I did meet, Christiana. And when I first met her, I thought she was the most amazing woman. And not just because she's gorgeous, but she's so grounded. She knows herself, and it's a pleasure to be around someone that is so connected to themselves and what they do. It's inspiring. So it makes me want to be like her. And meeting her, I felt that immediately. And she's always just been wonderful and pleasant. And spending anytime I ever saw her, it would be like, thank goodness, that was just a pleasure. anytime. It's always been that way. Every time I'm around her, she's very inspiring to me. And I really love Christiana. I really do. Just like most people. I'm just saying.
So have you ever done anything like this with her before, where you've created together?
No, this will be our first time, which I'm super excited for. I'm so excited to do this. This will be our first time doing a project together. And I cannot wait. Honestly, I'm so excited. Yay.
Yay.
I'm super happy.
Awesome. So we actually do have a question while we're waiting for Christiana to arrive.
Okay.
It's from JL John, and they ask, do the things you find inspire the pieces or the other way around, or a little bit of both?
Ooh.
And they also wanted to comment, I love the sustainability aspect and the fact that art can be found all around us based on the perspectives we have, life lessons. So,
Yes.
So for that first question, which is popping up on the screen there, do the things you find inspire the pieces or the other way around, or a little bit of both?
It's actually a little bit of both. Sometimes I'll see something, for example, I have a piece that I'm working on at home, and I wanted to sculpt hands, but I wanted it to have like an armature to it. And I used a 12-ounce Dixie cup to create this portion of the hand. But when I saw the cup, I thought that could be a hand. If I cut it in half, and then I used straws, which, they're disposable straws, they're terrible for the environment, but they're perfect for an art piece, which will be encased in something and painted on. So then they'll last forever in an art piece, not out here in the world and, putting animals in danger. So I like to use things like that. Sometimes when I look at something, that does happen where I'm like, oh, these would be perfect fingers, or this would be a perfect hand, or, something that will add to a piece I'm already working on. But sometimes I'll grab something that I feel like just looks cool, and then it sits for a little while. And then an inspiration will hit me, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a whole thing out of this. And then I'll just start working. And I love, like, if someone gives me a pile of things, I'll sit and I'll look at it and I'm like, well, this could be this, or this could be that. So it's just a fun process to kind of come up with what it's going to be. And sometimes I'll just work until it becomes what it's going to be. A lot of times when I'm drawing, I always tell people it's funny, but like, from point A to point B, I don't know what happens in between. I'll start something, the beginning, and then the end, because it's just, I get so lost in it. And it's it's a wonderful experience for me because I just love doing it. So I don't really focus on how I get to the end. It's just, it happens. I feel like it's some magic that happens. So when I'm starting with something and then it's just like, oh, it's done. Even if it takes a while, which usually a lot of these pieces do. And sometimes you have to find the right thing. But yeah, I'm inspired both ways, I would say, both ways. I'll look at a piece and think, oh, I can use that. Or sometimes it's like, oh, this is showing me exactly what it wants to be. It happens both ways. That was a good question.
That was a great question. Thank you for your question, JL John. So if you want, we can pull up the PowerPoint if you want to talk a little bit about some of those pieces as well.
Sure, I can.
All right, great. This is such an amazing photo. Tell me just a little bit about what you're wearing in this. This is incredible.
What photo? I'm sorry, I don't know which one you're looking.
Oh, can you see it? It's the one of you with like horns and like some leaves, and you have these fabulous nails.
Okay. Usually in my free time, I used to take photography. That was like my main field of study when I was in high school. And I've always thought photography was art. But in my free time, I like to take photos, and I don't normally have a model, so I'll try different ideas on myself. And I have a this is a little weird. I call myself Black Dragon for my love of dragons, and I also have a hashtag that's Black girls can have dragons too, which is just in reference that, you know, we like creative things. We like, you know, sci-fi and fantasy also. So that's all that hashtag means. But that's what I'm into. I like that kind of stuff. So I purchased, there's a few I've made, but I purchased horns, and I got some flower arrangement pieces and put it all together. And that I called Mother Nature Dragon. And I have a couple other ones, what I call Death Dragon. And I have other pictures that I've taken. And that is one of the ones, I can see it now. That's the Mother Nature Dragon, where I was just inspired by dragons and Mother Nature. So just nature itself. And I take these pictures kind of in my off time, and I wanted to use it as, you know, sort of like my cover photo on my Facebook page. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Well, we can go to back to that next one, which is your drawing of the Mother Nature with the bees.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I love that piece. Anytime I get a chance to incorporate a portrait with any type of animal, I want to do that immediately. I had a couple series. I had a series with a couple of portraits that I did of people that I knew and people that I know, with animals included. And it was just something that at that point, when I did the first one, it was just like, I can't stop doing this. I love like combining those two things. And to me, I don't know why, but with Mother Nature, I immediately thought bees, because we had such a strange relationship as humans with bees forever. It's just like, oh, and you know, they have that whole theory where it's just like, if there's no bees, we are all done for. And, you know, it's just, so I don't know why I just thought like bees would be perfect to go with someone that I would consider being Mother Nature. And she also has headphones on, which I think is hilarious. I put some funny things in there for me. But so Mother Nature would be listening to music and also surrounded by bees, which I think is, it kind of speaks to the people that I know. And it's, you know, the women that I know, they're all beautiful. And, you know, it's a piece of all of them when I'm painting or when I'm creating something. I'm inspired by the people around me constantly. And that's pretty much how I came up with that piece. My sister, who has a face full of freckles, is the reason why I wanted to give this piece freckles. And it's just, I pull from the people that I care about to make my pieces. And Mother Nature with the bees, it's just all those ideas piled into one painting. That's how it came about.
I just love how many details and things there are to look at in that piece. It's just great. Really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we could go to the next one. Oh, and this is awesome. Tell me about this and your amazing horns or antlers. Sorry, antlers.
Yes, those ones are antlers, but I did use them sort of as like dragon horns, even though they're antlers. I kind of customized. It was just like a $5 pair of antlers that I'd gotten online, and I bought 2 pair. So I customized them. I cut one in half and added it to the other one, and to make like this set of antlers. And I like I said, I like taking pictures, and I don't have a normal regular model besides myself. So, and I'm like, oh, I want to try this. So, and then when they turn out and I'm like, oh, well, this looks kind of cool. And then I'll put it in on my computer and maybe do a little tweaking here and there, drop the background out and all that stuff. But it's my love of taking photos. I love it. And the dragon thing too.
How did you first how did you first kind of connect with the dragon theme? Has that been from, early on in your life or later on? Or?
Yes. It's just been something that's been with me for ages. It's really goofy, but I was born in the year of the dragon. So I have that. And I had a huge love for all things fantasy. And that was my entire childhood. My father he loved Halloween, and he loved all these fantasy things, anything that was, Star Wars, and anything about like King Arthur, anything that was just like, to him, that was crazy and outlandish. It was just something that I was so interested in. And then the dragon thing just kept following me my whole life. Like, it's just, for some reason, it was just this connection that I've always had with those creatures. And just like I said about the hashtag that Black girls can have dragons too, it was just, it's a creature that I connect with because they're so mysterious, and it's mythical. They're real. They're not real. There's Komodo dragons, but I'm just saying that it's just like, to me, they represent me. They're strange. They're fierce. They're powerful. They're feared. And I think that that's a lot of the things that I feel as being a Black woman sometimes is we are feared and in ways that we shouldn't be. And to me, dragons are beautiful, and just like Black women are beautiful. So that has been my connection for a long time. So it's a combination of things.
That's amazing. It's really, really interesting. So let's go to the next slide. So this is is it Broken Heart to Dog? Is that how you say it?
Oh, Broken Hearted. I think I messed up with it was the original. It's OG at the end. So it was the original, because I did one that was manipulated on my computer. But that one is just, that was actually a really quick piece that I did. I used some watercolors and ink and all different types of things. I think there might even be some pencil in there somewhere. But yeah, it was how I was feeling at the time. So it's not me, but it represents. It's just a representation, I think, of just what I think at that moment I needed to put something on paper. And in order for me, that's the perfect way for me to explain it. When people are like, oh, they have this and they have that people do therapy, which is good. Me, I draw, or I'll create to get those things off of my chest or out of my soul, and I want to share it with people. And maybe someone will be able to look at it and be like, oh, I feel this. Like, I get what you're saying here. And they can connect with it on the same way that I created it. So sometimes for me, it's just like a spillover, something that I need to get rid of. So that piece was at that moment in time. Yeah, I needed it. My therapy.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
Thank you.
So let's go to the next. So this one is Future Tongue. Yes,
this piece. I had a mini a mini controversy about this piece, actually. I actually have the original here with me. So I worked on this piece and it was on my Instagram and everything. And then I got contacted by a gentleman who wanted to showcase my artwork on their brand of beer. And he asked me if I had anything. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm working on this piece. So he was like, oh, that would be great for the can. Great. So they used this piece. They put the picture up. It was on Twitter and everything. And there was a lovely, I would never say anything terrible, but there was a lovely woman that shared the drawing, and she was upset because she thought that it was a white woman on this can of beer that was supposed to be about Afrofuturism. So I had replied to her on Twitter, and I said, I'm so glad that you mentioned this, actually. She was really upset, and I told her I was glad that she mentioned it. I'm glad that she pointed it out. And I said, but Black people come in a tremendous amount of colors. I have family members that are light, white-skinned people. They're still Black. So, and I think that there is a huge thing, especially with Afrofuturism, that we just assume that it's a dark-skinned person with a big afro. That is not us. We are everything. We're every color. We're every hair texture. We're every hairstyle. We're bald. We're blonde. We're all these things. And those things should be inclusive in Afrofuturism. And that was really my whole point of making this piece of this woman that was Afrocentric, but she had straight blonde hair. We could talk about it. And I'm glad. So I was kind of happy that that girl said something. So I don't remember her name, but yay. It was great that she brought it up. It made me happy that she did. But that was part of the reason why that I was just like, yeah, this piece is important, because we don't talk about those type of things. It's just like we already have this thing. You're Black. This is what you are. And nah, we have so many other, we're diverse. And I think that I like to represent that in my pieces. So yeah, that's a future tongue.
Yeah, that's so interesting how it opened up that dialogue. This piece.
Yes.
That's great. I think we have one more.
Okay.
We can share. This one's I'll Save You.
Oh yeah, I really, really liked doing this piece. This one is manipulated on the computer, but I do have an original of it. I don't have the original anymore. Someone bought it, but I manipulated this version on the computer. It's still the same concept. Again, I'm always inspired by Black women. That is just my inspiration, mostly. I'll Save You is, to me, what happened for me. I think I put myself in the position to be a hero. And not in the sense of like, of course, flying over buildings, but where I thought I can help this person. I can save you. And in all reality, I cannot. But that was it was one of those brain spillover pieces where it was just like, well, give me your hand. I can help you. But I had to learn from that, it's really, I didn't have the capability of helping, the person or persons at the time where I thought that I could. And I think that, you don't ever really realize as an artist when you're doing something. Maybe you do. I don't know. For me, as an artist, sometimes I'll do a piece and then I'm thinking, why did I do that? And then it'll take me a minute and I'll look at it and then I'll say, oh, now I know why. So it's a specific points in my life. I'll save you that was speaking directly to a specific person. And I didn't realize that until I was done with the piece. So it's, however anybody sees it, a lot of people like it. They're like, oh, this is great. I love it. They see a superhero. I see a woman that thinks she is. So that's how I feel about the piece.
So we do have a couple more questions that have come in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So one is from Robert Arrett. Thank you, Robert. It's love the environmental care involved in your process. Was this environmental care a reasoning for your creative process, or did it evolve from your process?
I think it would be a mix. That was a good question, by the way. It's a mixture of both for me, I would say. Ever since I was young, even before I started making like these recycled pieces, I was a saver. And I found things cool. If I had like, I don't know, like a bottle cap or something, for some reason, then I end up with 100. And then I think, oh, what am I going to do with these? And I would think about it and like, oh, I could probably use this while I'm playing, or, so it's a mixture of just thinking things are cool from being younger. And then as I got older, I thought that, these things are destroying our environment. So why not make them into something that will help to beautify it? And then also I can take anything. It doesn't matter what it is. I can take anything and make something that maybe someone can connect to. It's also getting the connection and connecting with people. So I think it's a mixture of both. It was just, being a kid, I guess I didn't really think about it then. But as I got older, it was like, yeah, I think I need to do this. It's important for me to do it. It's important for me to take, these boxes and cardboard and, things that people throw away constantly. I don't even like having recyclables at home. Like I hate it. I don't even want to put it outside. And I'm like, I will pick something up and I'm like, what can I do with this? I want to make something out of this so badly. So it's just, I always like to keep things that people throw away. And I think it's a mixture of those two things. That was a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Robert, for your question. We also have a question from Deanna Cromer, and it's about dragons. She writes, on the dragon, could it be a representation of the collections of your best imaginings, which is in line with your repurposing, bringing life to items given little consideration?
Oh my gosh, maybe so. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's a great question. Oh my goodness. Yes, I will say yes. That was awesome. Yes. Yeah, I never really even thought about it like that. And that's great. These things, these trash items that become these things, they evolve, right? They're like trash Pokemon. They just become more things. That's amazing. Yes. Yes, that's great. Oh my goodness. That was a wonderful question. That was wonderful. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thank you all for your questions coming in. This is really cool. So I guess as Christiana, just to give everyone an update, is going to be joining us soon. So what are your thoughts on Christiana's work as an artist?
I love Christiana's work. It's always thought-provoking. And I think that's the difference between, I think, yeah, people can think about some of the stuff that I do, but I think my stuff is a little bit more personal, and hers speaks to large amounts of people, where she represents a collective when she works. And that's what I see with her work, that it's it's represented in a way where it's amplified, where people or a group of people are going to be like, yes, I get exactly what you're saying. I think mine is a little more, well, I was feeling bad that day. But I think Christiana's work has purpose, and it's always beautifully thought out. Even when she explains a piece, she explained a piece to me once that she didn't have to. She's brilliant at that. And I love her work. I love her work. She's very good at letting you know what she means. It's wonderful.
So has your work always been very personal, or has it like evolved in different ways over time?
Yes. I mean, certain times things will hit me where I will do like a social commentary. But most times when I'm working, I feel like everything that I do is a social commentary. To me, it's like I know what I'm thinking when I'm working or when it's done, and how I can say, well, this is what this represents to me, but I'm thinking that it will touch, a certain subject where people will be like, oh, I get it. But I think I would have to do a little more explaining with my pieces. Like I would have to have more discussions. And sometimes people may see things that I didn't think of, just like the whole dragon question from Deanna. They might see something that touches them and they're like, oh, well, this reminds me of this or this and that. And I'm like, oh, well, see, great. It may be personal to me, but I feel like once a piece is done, it's not mine anymore. It doesn't, the meaning behind it, when I did it, that was mine. But once someone else sees it, it's theirs now. They can interpret and take it into whatever direction they feel like they should. I think art should do that. That's just my opinion, that it's going to make you question. Some people will just be like, oh, hey, that looks like, a skull lady with one arm and like, dirt. I've had people say like just like random simple things where I'm like, oh, okay, that's exactly what it is. And then there's people that go way deeper into what, they think it is. And that's, I love that part of doing my work in that way, because sometimes I get like the most random explanations, or, when people will be like, I see what you did there. And I'm like, did I do that? Great. And I'm glad. I like to have those different interpretations of what I do. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I love how you create these things that you have, your sort of own ideas about, but then that opportunity to interact with people who are interacting with your art too, and that they're able to find these things that like maybe you didn't even realize you were doing.
Yeah.
It's really, really great. I love that dialogue.
Thank you. Me too.
So, what are you hoping to get out of today's program, to teach Christiana? What are you thinking about how this is going to go today with the Mistress class?
One, I know it's going to be wonderful. But I think I'm hoping that people can see, that artists don't have to be in competition with each other. We can work together and we can create something beautiful together. And also, it's not just, to me, I don't think it's like I'm teaching anything. I'm just sharing. And I think she can absorb things and I'll absorb things from her. And it's just a sharing moment. And I would love and I'm glad that it's being broadcast so other people can see some of the stuff that we're creating. Maybe they can do it too. maybe if there's like a whole bunch of people that will get together and make like milk jug sculptures, then we'll have less milk jugs out there that people are like throwing down landfills. So I'm just saying, it's going to work for everyone, I think. And I think that, and also just being able to sit in the room with Christiana is just, that's good enough for me. So she's wonderful.
Have you collaborated with other artists on pieces or projects before?
Let me think. Yes and no, not in my professional life, but when I first started, I did when I was like in college and trying to like, figure out what kind of stuff that I was doing. I've done shows with other people and like specifically doing just me and this person doing a show together. And, but I'm not really, have I done like a piece that was collaborative, and I can't wait to do that. I'm so looking forward to doing that today. I've always wanted to. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm so excited to just see the two of you interacting and creating. And I love the idea of, stressing that you don't have to be in competition with each other. You can work together and learn from each other. And I think it is going to be a great opportunity for everybody watching today, too, to see that in action.
I agree.
So I know you work in many different mediums, but how long does it take you, for example, to make a sculpture like the one that you brought, or to do one of these amazing drawings or watercolors?
It depends. Sometimes the pieces are quick. The brokenhearted one, that was like an afternoon, like maybe 3 to 5 hours that I spent on that. And then I Found You, that the big red piece back here, that piece, I mean, and I don't normally tally the time because I did it in portions. So it would be like maybe 2 hours this day, maybe 10 hours another day. And it's just like, it never really dawns on me that I should probably calculate the time that I spent on a piece. So I would say for something like that, and it's thought-provoking to me. So it's just like, I can't even, think of the time that I'm spending. But I would say anywhere between like 20, 24 hours maybe on one piece, maybe longer, because some of my pieces will sit. And yeah, something like that. It's a lot, especially with something along those lines.
Yeah, I can imagine. And do you, I guess just a question about that process, do you sort of work on one piece at a time? Do you work on multiples? Do you sort of work for something on a little bit and then maybe step away from it?
Yeah, I think I have to, I always have a ton of projects. Right now, I think I have maybe 4 or 5 different pieces that I'm working on. Because sometimes I'll use similar things to make those pieces. So I like to work on them in like groups, especially depending on the size, really. If they're smaller pieces and I know that maybe they might go together in some kind of way, then I'll work on those smaller pieces all at once. I have one piece that's been sitting in my dining room for a year, and it's still in like a armature phase. So because I step back a lot and I'll change things. Sometimes I'll take something apart completely and then start over, or, I get a new idea and, and I'm just like, oh, well, now I can do this. And then, and then sometimes it's just, I get it done right away. or, it will sit for a while. But yeah, I like to work on more than one piece at a time. And also then I have like job stuff. Like if someone asks me to do something specific, like a commission or something like that, then I'll do, those pieces will always come first. And then I get back into my personal work. So yeah, I work on a lot of pieces at once. Yeah.
So what are some of the most unusual things that you've incorporated into your pieces?
Oh, that's a good question. I did a small, I used to make these little small sugar skulls. And I did like a headpiece on this little skull that I made. And I used the fake fingernails. And I always laugh every time I think back on that. No one knew what it was, and they just thought this is the coolest little thing until there was one person. It was a drag queen, and she said, "Girl, are those fingernails on there?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I want it." So she bought it, and so, but it was she noticed, and I think that's also the fun thing about using weird items, because sometimes someone's going to know what it is, and then they're like, that's why they want it, or that's why they connect with it, where they're just like, oh, that's that thing, or, oh, I recognize that. So yeah, it's I would say that is one of the most one of the funnest ones, things that I've ever used. Yeah, I would say that.
That's great. I love that. So you seem to use a lot of skulls in your work. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. I've always had this obsession with things like dyeing flowers. I love dried flowers. For some reason, like, to me, I'm more drawn to the flower when it's in the stage of turning brown and shriveling. To me, there's so much more to it at that point than it is as just this big blooming rose, where I like to see it with the petals shrunken. And to me, there's just more to something that's, I don't know, there's a little bit more depth to something that's dying. So the skulls to me were like, it was a way for me to do a portrait without color. It was a way for everyone to connect to me doing this sculptural piece, where it's just like, well, no matter who you are, we all have skeletons, we all have bones, and everyone can look at it and say, well, oh, they're going to get their idea from it. It's not a black skull. It's not a white skull. It's not an Indian skull. It's a skull. You're not going to know. If I didn't say who I was, you wouldn't even know that I made it. So it was, that was kind of my thing also too, in this sort of obsession with like these dying and dead things being beautiful to me. I find them more interesting. So yes.
That's great. That is super interesting. So I believe Christiana is ready to come on. So I would like to introduce our current artist in residence, Madame Christiana Dolores.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! That's exciting. I'm going to stand because I want to give her a hug.
Welcome. Yeah.
Hi. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you. I don't see enough of you.
I know.
But
it makes me sad.
We're busy.
Yes, we are. It's true.
Look at all. Oh, I'm so glad. Look.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you two take it away for the last hour of this this portion, and I'll pop on right at the end to be able to, let people know what the next phase will be this afternoon. So you two enjoy, and I'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you, Erica.
Okay. Bye, Erica.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
How are you?
I'm very tired, so thank you for. I know you can hold it down for an hour.
I tried.
You had it. I just want to let everybody, whoever's out there watching, that my sweetheart has been in the hospital for about a week, and it's been harrowing and terrifying and exhausting. And for any of you out there who have had a loved one in the hospital, it's just very difficult because you are super focused on their care.
Yes.
While navigating a very confusing healthcare system.
Confusing.
It took me. I'm trying not to be annoyed, but I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
We are experiencing. We're watching lots of different businesses not have enough workers.
Yes.
The quality of workers, everything is affecting everything. So,
yes.
But yeah, he's doing much better. And
that's good.
Yes.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, and I didn't want to cancel this because I was like, no, this still has to happen.
We're here.
Yes. So I'm so excited.
Me too.
I want to let everybody know that this is happening because of this phenomenal residency that I was selected for. Thank you, Westmoreland Museum of American Art. And Boom Concepts, yo fam, what's up? Yay! And this opportunity and support has given me a chance to engage in my fantasy. Soon as they told me, like, hey, there's some programming we'd like for you to do, I was like, I'm Danielle.
That's awesome.
That was like the first thing in my mind. I was like, I don't know what we're gonna make. I think I changed the concept several times.
That's okay.
And Daniela is one of my absolute favorite fierce femme artists. She gets it done. She works. She is focused. And also we are kind of in the same energy of creation, which I think
I agree.
We love the shadows.
Yes.
We lean into the shadows.
Yes.
And we understand the shadows. Yes. And I want to be clear why I say shadows as opposed to darkness, because I have a thing about words. Mm-hmm. We do live in a culture and a country that can't seem to not imbue anything, including words, with anti-Blackness. So I'm not going to say darkness. I know exactly what I mean. I mean shadows.
Yes. Yes.
Shadows. Yes. And so here I am with an OG Black weirdo. Oh, yes. I lost my mind.
I lost mine too.
Yeah,
I have to put it back in.
Blew out my head. I think they call us now like Afro punks or Afro futurists.
Yeah,
but
they do.
We've been doing this for a long time.
We have.
And even though I was taking a quick nap in there, I heard you talk about your dad.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God, my dad he was similar.
Yeah. I mean, he was just like, he was the reason for me being a weird Black girl. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm so glad. Like now I'm like being older. I'm like, thank you.
Thank you. Like I remember eating ice cream with him. My mom didn't like the horror movies, you know. She's German, straight from the homeland. And if you know anything about those stories, they would tell horror stories to young German children to keep them out of the woods. It was a form of protection, but they're horror stories. Yeah. So she didn't want anything to do with it. But we were eating a big old out of a big old tub of ice cream, and it was the Night of the Living Dead.
Oh my goodness!
And that was such a powerful movie. I mean, you know, I'm little, but I'm aware that I'm growing up in the 60s, and you're aware of things. You're aware of the Vietnam War. You're aware of television. The news was so much more different back then. And one, I just loved watching what I would perceive at that time as a kid. You know, you're living in this dominant culture where unbrown and white people are untouchable and flawless and perfect. And so I have to confess that watching them getting gnawed on was It's one of my it's wonderful. It's one of my secret joys. Because the perfection leaves. Like,
Yes.
you know, you're this kind of culture is hammering this into you that you aren't worthy. So watching this kind of class of supposed worthy people get gnawed on was one, a great, hilarious moment. I mean, like I tell people, like horror movies are like comedy to me. And then watching the actor, I forget his name. And the black actor slapped the guy. That was the best moment in my childhood life. And that's another reason why I love horror movies, because horror movies were doing things that I thought regular movies were too terrified to do.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
and because in moments of extreme stress, which is zombies are outside.
Yes.
Extreme crisis, all those things that dominate our life fall apart. The system falls apart. The politics falls apart. Yep. The power dynamics falls apart. So, yeah. So we love this, and one of many reasons. And another reason why I love Danielle is because, in a similar vein, we love working in multiple.
Yes.
It just
whatever's there,
and then also depending on what we're trying to say, we will gravitate to sculpture or painting, and it's fluid. Yes. And we're not scattered when we do this. We are doing what our hearts call us to do.
Yes. Yes.
And so I'm excited to do this class with you.
Me too.
I don't know what we're gonna do. But I know they talked to you about it. Are these prints?
No.
Okay.
These are all originals. Yes. All these are originals.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. Have you told everybody how to buy your stuff?
Yeah. I did not. I didn't. I'm so terrible with that stuff.
No. Before we get into the thick of it, can you tell everyone your website?
Yes, I can. It's very simple. It's DanielleRobinsonArt.com. I'm also on Instagram, Danielle Robinson Art, and I'm on Facebook at the same, Danielle Robinson Art. It's all the same. If you look it up in Google, it'll pop up. So you can get my artwork. You can contact me any way like that, and those ways. Also email.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I, as I mentioned earlier, it's been a tough week. So this is going to be an A- game as opposed to the A game.
You're always on your A game. It's okay.
So I had to shift. You know, this is the beauty of being creative people. Yes. That I think a lot of people can learn from, which everyone can gain access to creativity. Not everybody's an artist, but creativity is what allows you to be resilient in the face of great change and challenges and crisis. So doing that resilient shift, I brought dolls that I started on in 1991-92. I sold 5 of them. I never finished them. They were so labor intensive. Yeah. And you can get to a point with a piece of work and you go like, there's something about this that's just not working, just not right. Yes. I brought those. Now, mind you, I went to the desert. At this time, I was living with friends. We traveled to the desert. Mm-hmm. And I was living out of a Volvo. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we had tents, but sometimes we'd sleep in the Volvo. But we were traveling through Utah and New Mexico and all these places. And because really had a great need to get away from people. Because prior to that, we were working on a farm. We were one of the kind of first Black organic. We had this goal to be Black organic farmers. That's wonderful. It was wonderful, except that the owner of the farm, ooh-wee. Oh gosh. There's nothing worse than a well-educated, liberal-minded white male racist. So I'll just leave it at that. And because of that experience was so traumatic, and it was happening right as the riots were in Los Angeles, these realities were crashing. So I was like, hey, let's go to the desert and commune with a space so completely different than Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So I call myself getting away from people. And what do? I buy clay and I make people.
Beautiful.
I make people. And I'm in the desert, so I don't have much resources to art stores or anything like that. So I'm just trying to use what I can find in these spaces that I think there might have been my first encounter with Walmart.
Really?
Like the big kind of stores at that time, because that's what it was like in the Midwest and the Southwest, is that, that's where you'd have to get your stuff. I didn't even get a chance to clean these. That's just, ugh. So, I mean, very struggling, with this kind of like, okay, do I use cloth to make the bodies? But I sculpted the heads out of like clay that dries in the air.
Yeah.
And I'm so fascinated with the faces of people from all over the world.
I agree.
Right? And so just a real mixture of different.
I love the
faces.
paint choices. This man with this red beard. I love this.
Right?
I love this. I love the color.
Right? And you can kind of see like there's just like Syrians, and I don't know, like I was just out there communing with we were camped next to a creek, and I laid all the heads out. And so I brought these to work on. Oh, she's my favorite.
Oh my gosh.
And
yes.
her, I have to fix her. So we won't work on her. I need to fix her. So I thought I would just bring these and we can kind of figure out what to do with them, based on your experience. Now, I like to work in a lot of different art forms.
Me too.
But I'm terrible at sculpture.
Obviously, you're not, though.
I can make faces or whatnot, but when it comes to bodies, it's very, that's when I'm really interested in watching and learning from you about how I could have done this better. See, they're kind of just stuck at this one broad-shouldered. I can't fix that or change that, but
you can. We can do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it. I love her. I really do love her.
And so the goal back then was, and I wish I had photos of the ones that I made and sold.
Yeah.
I love opera. So I had them in these really regal outfits that I was hand sewing. And I had a dream back in the 90s that they would sit on these pedestals and they would each have a voice that would, if you would be motion, like triggered by motion. And then if enough people stood in front of them, it would sound like a chorus from the opera. That was my dream. I think I can do that now because of the technology.
I think you can. That would be wonderful.
Right? So, and I wanted to record different people's voices. So it would be like friends' voices singing, and then you hear it all at once.
I love this.
Right? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes. Yes. I love that idea.
So, I guess we could get started. And we'll just talk while we're talking.
Okay.
Right?
That sounds good to me. Okay. I have junk.
So, I'm just going to put some of these aside.
Do you have a specific one that you want to work on?
I think I'm going to do her.
I love her. Yes.
I'm not going to do her. I'm going to put my peoples over here. And see, this was right on the tail end, like right before I left working at the farm.
Yeah.
I kind of love her too. But yeah, okay. I made little dolls. And they were like really small dolls, and they were called Women of the World. And once again, very just hands-on sewing and using materials from the farm. Like one might hold a twig or a flower, a dried flower, that kind of very kind of like magical. I think I also overheard you talking about the world of magic and mystery and loving that, but never seeing yourself in it.
Yes.
Right. And so I created these very small dolls to kind of see ourselves. And so that's why it was Women of the World. They were all shades of black and brownness. And I sold tons of them at Tribeca. I stopped being the baker at the farm. And so, but I didn't know how to display them. So, as artists, we're always struggling with how to display them.
Yes.
So I got an old kind of branch of a tree and I put it in a bucket. And, they each had loops on the back. Mm-hmm. So, you can put them in your kitchen or hang them on the whatever. Yeah. They had loops and they had magnets. So I'm hanging them on the trees. This story is hilarious. Do you remember Rerun?
Yes. Yes.
Rerun came up to me. And how did I know that he was Rerun? He still had the same outfit on. He was still.
That's funny. I'm sorry. That's
it was hilarious. Funny, but I was like excited to see him because I grew up watching him, and it was like that show just was one of my favorites. What's happening? Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and so he came up to me, and I was so excited to talk to him, and he just like went off on me. He thought my dolls were being hanged. I was just like,
no, Rerun.
I was, what in the world would I sit here? But I guess it's New York. You can say it, you can think all kind of things.
Yes, that's true.
It was pretty obvious that they were not hanging by their necks. They were hanging by the back, right? Yeah. And he just flipped out on me. And I think this is why people thought I was a New Yorker, because I just flipped right back at him. Because I was like, I'm not hanging my goddamn dolls. And I was like, well, why don't you stop dressing the same? I was like, why are you walking around here looking like Rerun? And coming over here talking about my dolls, We had a moment. And I felt so bad about it because he was famous. I just was like, I popped off on him. I'm like, you must be kidding. I looked at my dolls and I was like,
really?
Really? But this is what happens, right?
It does.
It happens to us. People get their own ideas of what they think you're doing.
They do.
And then they come off on you. And it's like, everything should probably begin with a question.
Yes. That's all you have
Please to begin with a question about why are you doing this? What does it mean? Mm-hmm. Why did you choose those colors? Like, kid asked, like, hey, why are you hanging them like that? Do you realize they look like they're hanging? That's a little different.
Yes, that would have been the approach.
Yeah, that's when you show. I'm not throwing shade on you. This is purely a story about something that happened in the past. Don't y'all get on social media and be all no. I'm not interested in any of that that's happening in this world. I'm too OG for that. That's why I call myself Madame Dolores. I'm too OG for this calling out without calling in. So, but do whatever you want. All right. We're going to just talk about lots of fun things.
Oh, good. I love fun things.
Okay, so
I will tell you what I brought. Well, I have tons of stuff. I brought tons of junk. But I will tell you how what I start, like my basis, the armature portion.
Show me the armature because as you can see, I struggle. It's just wood.
This is my favorite thing to work with. I'm not joking. You can literally you can create so many different shapes and stuff with the foil.
Okay, but does the foil, do you use foil on that?
I did. Foil, newspaper, all types of junk.
See, this is so magical. Because I don't, okay, so you use foil.
You can.
I guess we're going to see how, but what kind of material do you put on the foil? I guess you can tell
anything.
Me. And it doesn't slide off?
And I also use styrofoam, like old packaging. from like
yes,
boxes and
I've
stuff.
tried, yeah.
Yes. So like if you're making, let's just say you wanted to put a dress on one of the figures, or a long frock or tunic or whatever you want to do.
Okay, let's see. I had like different ideas. She was gonna have the bird.
I love the bird.
Can we
keep
have
the bird?
Yes, I'm just
Okay.
gonna remove it.
I love the bird. We have to keep it.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I guess it's gonna be on her shoulders. That was.
Oh. Okay, let's say you were making a skirt or a dress or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
With foil, and especially like with something so, you can just wrap it around. And I do have styrofoam that we can fill the bottom with. Like, let's just say you wanted to make a big gown like this.
Oh,
Right?
that is awesome. Because I was using cloth and it never got that billowy.
And now see, and if you wanted to, you use this as your base, and then you can take your cloth and put it on top. And then you're able to form it. You can make her skirt blowing in the wind. You can do all different types of, like, she could be holding it. We can make a little hand for her to hold the bottom. You attach it.
Yeah. Oh,
And then she would look like.
So tell me, because I didn't hear the first part. But how did you even get started?
With the sculpture?
Yeah.
Honestly, I will say, because that story that you told me about the Night of the Living Dead, which I think is hilarious. My ceramics teacher in middle school was the little girl that was eating her dad's arm at the end of the story.
Really?
Yes, and she told us that it was a meatball sandwich. Her name was Miss Schoen, and she was my ceramics teacher.
By the way, everyone, that's my best friend over there, Chris Ivy. We've known each other for
Yeah,
what?
we love Chris.
What, 20, 30 years?
Oh my
God.
goodness.
Time is flying. Okay, so she was eating the meatball sandwich.
That's what she told us, that it was a meatball sandwich, but it was supposed to be her father's arm, which I thought was hilarious. But I had her for, I think it was like 6th grade I was in, and I only had her class once a week, and we had to make something every week. So I would do something really fast. I would just grab a bunch of clay, and I even have some of the, oh my gosh, I should have brought one. I made a dog once, and it's just like this lump of clay with like a dog head, glazed and everything. And she said to me, which I will never forget, thank you, Miss Schoen. She said, you always have something every week. Like, I always made something.
Yeah.
We had this short period of time in class, but then she was just like, you always complete a project. I loved it ever since then. Just like being able to, like,
Yeah.
even though it was fast, but it was still fun. And it was just like, oh, I can make a dog. Oh, I can make like a bust. I made a lady. I made a horse head. I did all different types of stuff. And it was just so much fun then. But then after that, I would just, like I said, I was always collecting little things that I'm like, I could use this for something. that was me. I was always like, that's, oh my gosh.
I tell people artists are the exquisite hoarders.
We are. And we found ways to like really put that stuff away. Oh, I'm so good at that.
Yeah. I'm getting shelves just to organize my hoarding of objects that I found. Because you find things, you're like, I know this is special. I found it on the ground. I'm like, I find toys on the ground, like broken toys on the ground. Oh my gosh. Right. And so I save them. And I think they're like messages from the beyond.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I love those. Like anything like that. Like to me, where you're just like, oh, I have to have this. There's just something.
There's something about it. And then you might not even use that till 2 years later.
That's exactly
right.
Yes.
It's almost like puzzle pieces to me.
Yes.
Like you just have to hold on to it till you find the right thing.
I agree.
Okay, so Miss Schoen was eating the meatball sandwich.
She sure was. Oh, I just thought that was so funny when she told me that. But then she was my ceramics teacher, and that's where I got like my love for making things. I would say from there. Even though I was creative as a little kid.
Yeah.
But that at that point,
but it took you to like that. I remember as a kid that moment where you go like you're becoming more serious about it.
Yes.
It means more to you than just making something.
Yeah,
There's like a shift that happens, I think, as a child. You're
Yes.
like making things all the time, and then I remember the shift. Yeah.
When was your shift? What happened?
My grandmother bought us, my father's mother, she got us, Play-Doh came out with a lot more colors.
Rainbow pack.
Right? And so I made a whole circus. I spent 5 hours and I made animals and I made the guy and the rings and the horses.
Oh my gosh.
And I made like the whole circus. And my grandmother came in and there was no more Play-Doh left. and I don't know what she did with it. She didn't save it, but I wish she had, because the whole kitchen table was a circus. And I was telling her what was happening. And I was like, oh, and then, the lady and the bearded person. And yeah, that's when I knew. I was like, this means a lot to me. Yeah. And I got upset. She might have thrown it away, and I might have been upset about that. I don't know. Or, Play-Doh would dry, but start to crack.
Yes.
And so it fell apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other moment was elementary school. My drawing got picked to be displayed on the wall. And it was a drawing of the neighborhood. I grew up in Belsuver. And when I came, I was so proud and happy, as a little tyke would be.
Yes, I understand.
I was like, wow, but not egotistical about it. I was just like, I can't believe this has happened. And my drawing's up. I came in the next day and someone had taken a black crayon. This is my first experience with censorship and destruction of my work. Someone scribbled all over it. And I think I cried I was like inconsolable. I was distraught. Oh, yeah, I couldn't believe like someone would. That was the moment also that this concept of creation and destruction and how they are at odds. So once again, you come back to kind of this love of horror movies, which is, I always find that the kind of ultimate battle between the forces of the forces of light and the forces of demonic expressions, and the forces of destruction and creation kind of battling. Yeah. So all that to say, those are my serious moments.
I think that's amazing. I mean, I used to do like little things in kindergarten. I remember having a girl telling me that she was going to take my art home, that she was going to give it to her. Like, she was going to steal my artwork and I wasn't allowed to have it. And I had to trade her or she was going to beat me up. And I was like, this was my first time. That was the first time I knew that I must be pretty good.
Right?
I must be pretty good. She wanted to steal my stuff. And what's this again? I was in kindergarten and I drew a snowman that was like amazing. And everyone was like, oh, snowman is wonderful. And I'm like, yay. And she did. I gave it to her. I said, here, you can have it.
First experience of copyright infringement. And
yes.
Artistic theft.
Yes.
It starts early, y'all.
It really does.
It starts early.
I also brought a bunch of newspaper too, and you can use that stuff underneath also. Which will give us some stability. We can just push it in there. I brought hot glue too, if we need hot glue.
I thought I brought it, but I didn't, so that's perfect.
Just stuff all that in there.
Oh, I love big billowy textiles.
Me too. But yeah,
see, she reminds me of Macedonia.
Yes.
Sumerian. I don't know. That's who I remember. I'm looking at her. That's what I was thinking about, Samaria.
She's so beautiful. I love her. Oh, and I have a bunch of, I got popsicle sticks in here too. Junk.
Oh, I love popsicle sticks.
Oh. Caulk. It works. I use it on there too.
I have tons of that at home.
Oh my gosh, you should use it.
I never thought to use that.
Oh, I'll tell you, I use it on that painting that's back there. This one right here. A lot of people will where the gold is.
Oh, I'm stuck.
The gold.
Oh, is this really?
Yeah. Because sometimes people, this is my a little tip for you if you're an artist and you're painting and you want like a thick amount of paint or you want like a textured, mix your color with some silicone caulking and you're going to save your paint.
Yes,
because most people will just use all paint to get that texture.
And paint's too expensive.
Yes, save your paint. You can get these at the dollar store too for $1.
She's dropping some knowledge.
And you just squirt this in a little container. You
never even thought about that.
Mix it up, and then you get those nice, thick, chunky pieces on your painting. It's wonderful. I love it.
I have to tell my sister, she paints, and so she, back in the day when paint was cheap.
Yeah, but now it's like you have to save as much as possible.
All her paintings were thick with.
I love
and
that
she would
look,
kind of carve into it, kind of very similar to like the way you're drawing inside of the thickened paint.
Yes, yeah. I love it, and it dries super fast. So we love that. We love that so much.
Oh wait, I did bring some stuff.
I got all types of junk
grab.
Too.
Oh, never mind. Thank you, Chris.
I love these things. I found these at the dollar store. I thought.
Okay, I brought fur. Okay, everyone, before you start flipping it out and losing your minds, this is from my father, I believe, who made leather purses and whatnot. Very, 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 very old. Something from, I think, maybe his grandmother. So, and he was throwing it away, and I'm like, no, I'll take it because I can use it. I was thinking of kind of just this.
I love the back.
Right? Yeah. Oh.
The back of it. It's so beautiful. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Let me move these
It's
dolls.
really beautiful the way it's put together. Oh, my goodness.
These dolls.
That would be amazing, too, actually.
So, yeah, I brought a lot of different kind of cloth. Oh, and this was some of the things I bought for these dolls because I didn't want to sculpt the hands. So I bought hands that I kind of glue and shove on.
Makes sense.
And like flowers and different kind of, there's feathers and birds or whatever that can be added to their.
I love that. I bought beads. I have beads and all types of like strange zip ties. That's another thing.
Ooh.
You want tons of zip ties. I always want to work with these.
So yeah, there's tons of fur in here. If you want to use, gold.
Oh, I love the gold. It's beautiful.
I might just wear this for a minute.
Why not?
There's some silver material. Oh. So yeah, I brought lots of different. So I would take this material and create their outfits from it. Just kind of.
Oh my gosh, I love this fabric.
This is nice too with this kind of right. So you kind of just start. So I think for me, the dolls are really about the clothing.
I agree.
Right? So I
totally agree.
I would hide the fact that I wasn't very good at sculpting their bodies with really elaborate outfits. These are our little tricks.
Yes. Oh, here's another product that you might be interested in. This is a meltable plastic. A lot of people use this for cosplay. So it's all you need is hot water. And I have a piece in here that I melted.
You know what? I've seen them use this on Dragula.
Yeah. And you can make vampire teeth. I've made a few pairs of vampire teeth with this stuff. You just put it in hot water and it melts.
Then you shape it.
And then you can shape it like clay and then it turns back to that hard plastic.
Is it when you shape it, can you put it on any kind of material? Can you put it on like this paper and it won't get stuck to it?
I don't know about this paper, but like maybe on top of like something like a plastic or something like that. Maybe, metal, whatever you have.
Yeah.
Like that's not anything like this, not paper, but yeah.
Oh,
and it's
great.
really fun to work with.
And I brought, I didn't know how to use it or whatever, but I think it's kind of like a paper mache. You add water to it too, and then it
I love that.
Up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's somewhere. We'll bring it in on the second half.
Okay. I brought air dry clay, so I have some. So we have that too. I got tons of stuff. Probably way more things that I needed to bring. Oh, and I found these. Look at these. Aren't these cool? moss stones
I love that.
from a dollar store. See?
Yeah, that store has good stuff.
They do. I like shopping there.
Me too. And like they just have strange things there. Like you're like, why do they have moss stones?
Yeah, for what?
Like,
but
what are they
we're gonna use them.
Yeah.
And I have these. This is what my newspaper roses look like. That's all. That's it. That's what's on that piece back there.
What's the title for that piece?
I found you.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
She's looking down.
Yes, and she's
but looking
digging
down
into herself. If you can see, like where I put, there's her like pulling.
Yeah, I see that
out of herself.
Yeah, there are details on this that you have to really get up close, and then there's
that's black sand.
Black sand.
Yes.
Oh, that's a very spiritual kind of sand, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It is. And I keep mine in glass bottles.
Now, have people asked you, are you terrified of your own?
People do ask me stuff like that. Like I love taxidermy stuff. And I know people are, listen, I know it's not the most PC thing. But when I don't go and shoot animals. That's not what I do. But if I find like a mounted deer head or something like that, there's something so, I don't know. I love them. So I have 2 of them. And then I have mounted, this lady gave me some mounted fish. And people are like, aren't you afraid to have that stuff? And I'm like, no. And I kind of attribute this work to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Someone asked me, I was like, isn't that kind of scary? You sleep in the house with that? And I'm like, yeah, but I mean, it could be scary. It does have a scary kind of tone to it. But to me, I think the meaning behind it for me, she's looking for something. That's more important than you know what I mean? Like just the meaning behind it made sense to me. She's looking
and the loss and the roses.
Yeah. She found it. It's like, and the reason why I went all the way to like the backing of that is it's a wood plaque that I got from one of my dear friends. But it's I went all the way to the back to where the wood is. That's the wood, the flat portion in her chest cavity, because I wanted people to know that was, she went all the way
into the back past her.
She went all the way in, and she's found what she was looking for. And for me, it's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's me. Like, I guess when other people look at it, they see it, for them, it's something else. Like love, maybe they found love or something scary. I don't know. It does look kind of scary.
Well, skulls are powerful. They're not,
They are.
I have an obsession with skulls because of, people will ask me, like, what drives you? And I'm like, death has been driving me since I can remember. I'm like, we're not immortal. We're not immortal. And so I'm really like.
And there's something so beautiful about it.
Yeah, because it's king or what's the phrase? Oh, it's something from Shakespeare about kings and paupers all end up being eaten by worms.
Yes. Doesn't matter. We're all going to get there.
So I find comfort in that.
Me too.
That's why I love your pieces.
Thank you.
I want one of these big ones eventually.
Okay.
Yes. That's why I was initially, the first idea I had was to make 2 tall characters in this room kind of grabbing books and fighting with them.
Yeah.
That was that was the initial idea. And I'm like, I should probably start small.
But that's something we should do anyway.
Yeah, we should work on it, because it was like knowledge versus intelligence. You know, there's this, having gone to lots of different kind of educational institutions. Yeah. And I think now it's being considered, there's emotional intelligence, there's physical intelligence. But, back then there was just rote intelligence. Like how can I impress you with how smart I am by, repeating certain things. And
reading back.
Reading back.
Yes. Yes. A lot of people think they're smart when they do that.
Yeah.
They're
smart on one level.
They can remember.
Yeah.
That's a good memory.
That's a good memory. And, I'm not, I don't have the best memory, so
Me
I
either.
appreciate it.
Me
I think
too.
I'm too much in the dream world.
Me and you both.
I'm constantly dreaming and creating in my head, so I don't really remember
Me too.
like
I do
things
the
like
same.
that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm in the world of. Ooh, look at our little jacket.
See,
Yes.
look at that. That's amazing.
I'm
so excited. Oh my gosh. My earpiece
I
keeps
love
falling out.
this. I hope I didn't smash this earpiece. My ears are so weird. They
Mine
never
are
stay
too.
in.
The mine keeps falling out.
I don't know how people do earbuds. They just always fall out. Is that okay? I don't think I stepped on it. Don't be mad. I saw we.
We apologize.
Oh, you're talking about Halloween. Like my sister and niece and I love Halloween, right?
It's my favorite holiday. I love
Favorite.
it so much. I love it so much. My dad used to like decorate outside all the way into the yard, like past the trees, and he would just do all types of crazy, just nuts. Used to come up with the most crazy, stupid things. We put an oscillating fan outside one time with like a robe on it and a mask, and people would not come trick-or-treating to our house because the thing was like this, because the fabric was heavy.
Would just move.
Yes, it would move, and then it stopped, and then it would jerk and move again, and people were like, yeah, no, I'm not getting out of the car, thanks. Sorry.
See, now you can buy that stuff at like Costume World. They have this kind of things that do that, but back then you had to like create it.
Yeah, we just made stuff up. When you stuff pants with like all that newspaper and you make a body out of newspaper, and he was sitting on the porch. Sitting on the steps, and it's just like, people are not going to get out of the car, Dad.
Yeah.
But it's still so much fun. Who doesn't love Halloween?
So, we went somewhere and I had a big, plume of a skirt on and a skull mask. And we're going, I go with her to go trick-or-treating, and we always get dressed up.
Yeah.
And I got stuck. My dress got stuck on someone's like shrubbery. Oh my gosh. And I turned it into this performance piece. And I was like,
I bet you that was wonderful.
Like, I stuck. And my niece still remembers that to the day. She's like, Auntie, remember when you got stuck on a tree as a Scully? And you're like, I stuck, help me. And she thought it was hilarious. But people were terrified. They're like, what is this undulating skull lady doing? Trying to get free from the shrubbery.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I would have loved that too.
Yeah. Because I love the performance aspect of Halloween.
Me too. I agree. I totally agree. I used to go trick-or-treating with my niece all the time. All the time.
Right.
All the time. It was like every year, yay. Oh, and here's some electrical tape. You could use that too. That's actually really good to work with.
I think
I love that.
Use a little bit.
And masking tape, because you can really use up masking tape. I love using masking tape. There's actually masking tape in that piece too.
This is, and the other wonderful aspect of what you create and how you create it is an experience I had. When I had my first exhibit at Boom, the Book of White People.
Yes.
And, the kind of objects that I was creating or manipulating or reformatting or whatever, reframing. Let me just use my teeth.
Oh, I have scissors too.
I took it up to Boston, and the curator, he was so hesitant to tell me this, but I think, he was doing the press releases about the show. And, I created toilet paper. I used different things, and they referred to it as lowbrow because I didn't have fancy canvases or it was really fascinating, the privilege in that statement.
Yeah.
The presumption that art can only be created by the most expensive materials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I heard that, and I was like, I know lots of us creatives are using lowbrow materials. And so I said, okay, how about we do it like this? Lowbrow materials, highbrow concepts.
There you go. Yes.
Like, we're just going to turn it around. I have no problem with, yes, we're going to use what we have, foil and
Yes.
paper and electrical tape. That
Yes.
doesn't mean it's any less worthy and any less amazing. And
I agree. I had a similar conversation with a guy that said to me, he was like, you do some really good work. You need to make sure that your pieces are done on really good paper. And I'm like,
yeah.
do I? Like, do they have to be on really good paper? What's really good paper? You mean I can't use like just paper?
Yeah, so if Picasso made a doodle on newspaper, you best believe someone has it framed somewhere and it will go to the auction.
Yes.
Yeah, so please stop.
Yes.
Please stop.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Like, no, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the suggestion. People are so weird. It's just...
They're so tied to these traditional concepts.
They really are. They really are. And everyone really, honestly, if someone puts a dot on a piece of paper and they frame it, somebody might want to buy it for $1 million. Does that make it less of an art piece than what Picasso did?
Yeah.
Or does it make it less of an art piece than what a young girl in the 5th grade has made?
Yes. I do take a little bit of issue with the duct tape and the banana.
Oh my gosh, I saw that. Yeah, I agree with this. I agree with this. But I think because it's just like these people, the art world, like what was it? Banksy, who had put a piece up for auction and then he burned it. Or it exploded.
The other one is shredded.
It's shredded, yes. And everybody was flipping out in the room. What a wonderful moment. I thought that was wonderful.
That is wonderful.
That was a wonderful moment. People were flipping out like, what is happening? Not this $1 million piece or however much it was going to cost. But
he really called attention to this name and how ridiculous it can get,
Yes.
And years of watching that happen. When does that happen to a woman artist? I can't recall reading about a woman artist whose work sold for millions at an auction.
No.
Oh
my gosh.
I could be wrong, and if anyone is out there who knows the answer to that,
let us know.
Please, right? Think about it, right? Do you know,
no.
Basquiat finally hit the big numbers recently, right? Yes. But I can't think of a woman artist who has done the same.
Oh my gosh. Man,
right.
That's shameful. I'm really thinking about it. Like
I'm gonna go home and I gotta get this paper to sit right.
Use as much tape as you like.
Almost there. I might have to use tape.
Yes. Masking tape is great.
Yeah, so that's always stays on my mind. I think it's so important for me. I mean, to support all kind of artists, but really women artists.
I agree with this. And there's such a strange thing that happens when you're a female artist and you do something that, this is so weird. I remember doing a piece one time and it was just it was a portrait of, what was his name? It was at, oh goodness, what was, I can't remember that's a shame. I can't remember. Well, whatever. It was at a show and it was a portrait of a guy and it was kind of like comic book kind of style artwork that I used. And there was a guy standing in front of it looking at it. And I thought, I'm not going to say anything. I'll let him just look, and I was excited that he was looking at the piece and he was just like, this is really awesome. I love it. And I'm like, oh, really? That's great. And he was like, did you do this? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, it's really masculine. Yeah, I'm like, oh, this looks like a dude did it. And I'm like, oh, are you upset now? It was really odd. It was an odd interaction. At first, I was really excited that he thought it was nice. But then I'm like, oh.
Yeah, like, really, is this really about gender?
Is it?
Is it?
terrible.
Oh, we have 5 minutes until lunchtime. I'm starving.
Ooh, me too.
Well, eat, and maybe that'll help us remember different things. But I am loving how this is coming together. This foil idea is.
It does help.
This is what I was trying. See, that's why I stopped working on them. I'm like,
how it brings back new excitement, doesn't it? I love it.
It does. Okay, I have to give her some breasts.
Yes.
I'm gonna take paper, make little balls.
Yeah, you can use foil too. Whatever you like.
You put it behind the foil. That's what I'll do.
See?
But what a crazy thing to say to you.
Yeah, I thought it was odd. I really did. And he was just like,
I mean, like, what does it even mean? Like, it looks masculine. What does that even look like?
I don't know. And it was just a very strange moment for me. That was like, it wasn't really the first time I had an interaction like that. Like some of the stuff that I do, I guess, seem masculine to men. Isn't that weird?
That's weird. But you know what's even weirder? I hope he bought it.
He did not. He did not. He did not buy it. He did not. I always wanted to do a show where I didn't sign anything. Well, and just kind of did it under an assumed name. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where nobody knew. And then it's just like, you know, let them come in and just do whatever and be like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Or
we'll see.
I did that once with a play. I did it. I wrote it under. It was the play was The Only Good Artist Was the Dead Artist. Mandy was in it. Fat Mandy was the lead character.
Really?
Yeah, but unfortunately, I did it. Oh, people would not keep a secret.
Huh.
I was like, hey, I'm gonna need you guys to play with me and play with this idea.
Yeah.
Of the difference between how women are treated with their work and how the same work will be treated differently if the person thinks they're men, right? So unfortunately, they gave away my secret. Mandy!
Mandy?
Yes, she did. I think everyone should know. And I'm like, love you.
I love you too.
I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, but it's very odd being a female artist. It really is. I think now it's a little different now. I think that, you know, there might be some people, but it's mostly other women. Not that men don't support, but I'm just saying. Depends on the piece that you're making, I guess.
There is a handful of men who are supportive, but on the whole,
yeah,
no. I found that to be a factor when it came to making music. There's just a handful that are actually really supportive of your artistic vision. Otherwise, you know, a lot of these things are, yes, one is standing before us. Otherwise, you're dealing with a lot of harrowing sexism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In various forms, from you know, verbal abuse to just sexual assault.
Oh my God.
Levels. Creepers.
Trash human. I'm just saying. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Oh,
hey, I'm back.
Oh, earpiece.
Earpiece.
Oh, hey.
There she is.
Well, this has been so great. It's been so much fun to watch you guys work, and you guys are just having such a wonderful conversation that the time has flown by, and I'm here to just wrap up part 1 of the live streamed Mistress class. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.
We do have, I think, one question, but we're going to wait until part 2 to address that question, and if any others start coming in as well. So we encourage you to continue asking your questions in the chat. And thank you so much to Danielle and Christiana for a great part 1 of the Mistress class. So please join us for part 2 at 2 p.m. It'll be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. today, and we will see you all then. So thank you very much.
Thank
See
you.
you this
See you
afternoon.
after lunch. Bye.